Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover is written and directed by Peter Greenaway, and it most notably stars Helen Mirren, Michael Gambon, Richard Boehringer, Alan Howard, and Tim Roth as well, which is kind of weird. I didn't really expect him to be in this film. And along with the other films that I reviewed this past month, this film has been recommended to me by a lot of different people, most notably from Chad Sabourin, who has his own YouTube channel. He has awesome content. I highly suggest everybody to check it out. He definitely deserves more subs. But he was really one of the first people to really urge me to watch this film. And ever since he's asked me to watch it, I've been getting multiple requests from different people. And I decided, why not? I might as well check this film out. It to me seemed like something that was at least going to be worth my time. And after watching it, I do think it was worth my time. I definitely have a lot of feelings, and a few conflicted feelings about it. But overall, I think that this is an incredibly unique piece of filmmaking. And I'm really glad that I watched this film, to be honest. For starters, this film, right when it started, I had this feeling that it was going to be incredibly theatrical. And I wasn't wrong. This entire film feels like a theater play. I don't really know about the history regarding this film. And as well as the film director, apparently he's directed over 78 different works. That's astounding to me, considering the fact that I've never heard of Peter Greenaway before. And, that's probably just shame on me. There's probably plenty of people out there that are like, what? How the hell have you never heard of him? I don't know. I guess I was out of the loop on that one. But to get back on track, this film felt incredibly theatrical throughout the entire film. And once it started, I was kind of skeptical because, sometimes that doesn't always work for me. If it comes off too theatrical, I feel like, why am I watching this on film? I'd rather watch this live in a theater play if that's the case. But let me just say this. The first two acts of this film, I thought was honestly brilliant. I thought they were incredibly solid. Sure, I have my critiques regarding certain things that I'll definitely get to in a second. But these first two acts I thought was quite brilliant. And the reason that is because what this film does so astonishingly is what all of my favorite films do, which is basically utilize a film's aesthetic potential to really hammer in the emotion and the themes and the depth that the film's story and characters have to offer. Honestly, I think the strongest aspect of this film is the lighting, and I feel like the direction of the lighting and the way that it's utilized throughout the film really goes far, and that's quite unusual for me to say. I've never really come out and said that the lighting is the best part of the film, and usually that would be a bad thing, but the lighting is utilized in such an insightful and creative way that really gives the film a personality, but it's also there to encourage an atmospheric mood as well as express themes of the film. There'll be times in one sequence, the whole lighting sequence will change, and when there's a more alarming moment or when there's a more impending doom type of moment, the lighting will change from a soft blue to a red. And throughout the film, it's just playing with colors. It goes from green to blue, from blue to red. And there are just some set pieces, which by the way, the set design of this film I thought was pretty incredible as well. But there are some really brilliantly framed shot moments that have to do with the camera work. But again, the lighting is really where this film shines. No pun intended. But there are some just really brilliantly framed shots with the lighting really insinuating its beauty. The entire aesthetic value of this film is pretty incredible as well, because not only is the lighting adding atmosphere and depth, but along with the camera work, especially in the first two acts of this film, again, all the aesthetic values that make filmmaking special is being utilized in the first two acts of this film that I found to be absolutely stunning. The score, the score is really matching the movement of the camera. It's being timed in an incredibly precise way. And again, all these aspects of filmmaking are really coming together and giving you something that is really effective. It's emotional, it's artistic, and I was really, really enjoying it. And I thought the performances in this film were also incredibly well acted. I'm sure some people may differ on that. But, I think most people won't really have a problem with the acting per se, but they'll probably have more of a problem with the writing of the characters, because I can definitely see people saying that some of these characters come off too one note, especially the more villain type character played by Michael Gambon, because he really is just this one type of character throughout the entire film. He's just this really pretentious, narcissistic, criminal douchebag, and he's just that the entire film. And I get that how that can be a bit tiresome, but I feel like the characters, like, they're not really there to be that insightful on their own, but they're really there to express a certain theme overall about the film. There's obviously a lot of stuff in the film regarding class and how class isn't really something that you can just buy your way into. Class and having class is more of a learned behavior and is a way of how you carry yourself. And I like how this film was making that point. Again, like, maybe that can come off too one note throughout the film. But again, I think the characters were there to say something bigger than just the characters themselves. But I really hate to say it, guys. Once the third act came in, it really kind of bummed me out because it stopped being like, I mean, I guess the aesthetic value was still there, but the execution of the third act in terms of the writing and directing, I feel like was completely squandered because I honestly thought the concept they were going for was really interesting, and it's not the concept that I had a problem with, it's just how they went about executing it, because basically the entire third act is done in a way that's just incredibly expositional. It's just all spoon-fed to you, and it's just a lot of people just talking about what they're going to do and what certain things mean. It came off a bit lazy, and it seemed to not be as creative as the first two acts of this film. And I just feel like if you had proper execution in terms of trying to convey things through more visual means and a bit more subtlety, because the third act basically just threw subtlety out the window, and I really did not enjoy that because the first two acts also kind of had that problem. You know, here and there are moments where I was just like, wow, they could have definitely been more subtle with that. But I could, you know, there weren't huge problems for me because most of what made up the first two acts, they had a lot to compensate for. There was a lot more subtle moments that were just conveyed through more of an aesthetic vision. And, you know, I was able to appreciate that a lot more. But with the third act, I feel like it just kind of just went all in with just, you know, the director and writer just trying to tell you how to feel, try to tell you the entire premise, and hopefully, like, you'll just be shocked by what's happening rather than how it's showing you how the shocking event is unfolding. And that was quite a bummer because, you know, I don't like a film to really just tell me what's happening. I'd rather it try to show me what's happening through its own creative vision, and I feel like it really lacked that. And it was kind of a sour note to end on because, again, first two acts were brilliant. Like, the first two acts, you know, I wouldn't argue with people who said that it's a damn near masterpiece because I feel like the first two acts, you know, it is close to that, but the third act, it's like, it's quite disappointing. It's kind of like going to a restaurant and eating a great appetizer followed by a delicious entree, and then for dessert, the waiter just comes by and takes a big old shit on your plate. And you want to really love everything that happened, but you would just be lying to yourself if you didn't say, hey, the ending to that was just awful. And maybe I'm going too far by saying it was awful, but just compared to what the first two acts gave me, I feel like it was quite disappointing. And it was just a bummer to kind of leave the film on that note. But one other positive thing I'll say about the film in terms of the aesthetics that I haven't really touched on is the musical score to this film, because the score, I just love the way it was utilized throughout the entire film. Again, it really matched the film's atmosphere and direction. The lighting, the camera work, and the score all coming together again to just make something that I thought was stunning, especially a few sequences. I was like, wow, that is some really stunning film work there. But again, it kind of just left me on a sour note, and that kind of sucks. But overall, I'm really glad I watched this film, and I'm going to give The Cook, The Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover a 7 out of 10. This film's rated NC-17, by the way, so I went into this film like, what the hell am I about to watch? And in a certain way, I can see why it's definitely rated NC-17, but I feel like if this was made in today's time, you know, I can see it getting, you know, pulling an R rating. I've seen R-rated films that I think have had worse shit in it than this. So yeah, that being said, I'm still really, really glad that I watched this film. It's definitely inspiring in certain ways. And, if you're a casual moviegoer, I can't really sit here with confidence and say that you should go watch this film. But I think that, if you're a film lover, if you're an aspiring filmmaker, I think you could really learn a lot through watching this film. So I definitely recommend it to those people. But that's all I got to say about The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. If you have any other films that you would like me to review, I will do my best to review them. I'm getting a lot of requests lately, but, I'm just going to have to sift through them and pick out the one that intrigues me the most. Eventually, I'll probably put up some polls on Twitter and stuff like that, so make sure to pay attention to that and follow me on there. And if you really liked what I had to say about this film, please give this video a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.